there's a constant stream of news now coming out of Europe, and there's quite likely to be some reasonably significant events like Greece defaulting. And I just want to make sure that people understand the context for New Zealand, because actually even a dramatic event in Europe isn't going to affect us seriously, but it will mean the international environment's a bit more volatile. It's just, I think we want to make sure that New Zealanders don't get unduly alarmed if some dramatic event like the default of Greece occurs.
What's the Treasury telling you? What advice are you getting from the Treasury?
Well, they're really just giving the same advice as you just advising that what you see happening is what's happening. There's underlying debt problems here in Europe. They don't have a political process to sort it out, and however hard they try, the markets are gradually closing in on Greece, and there's now about a 90% expectation that Greece will actually default. The European banks can probably handle Greece defaulting, and maybe even Portugal. It would get a bit tricky if they got to Italy.
If Europe tanks, what are the implications for our access to credit and government borrowing?
Well, that's one of the risks that New Zealand faces, is that all these events are putting the spotlight on countries with significant levels of debt. Now, in the last few years, the Reserve Bank's taken quite a number of steps to ensure that our banks are less vulnerable. The government's taken a number of steps to reduce the vulnerability of government to these volatile markets. But we've seen over the last month, less people showing up to our debt options because of the volatility. Not necessarily because they think there's anything wrong with New Zealand, but because they're just concerned about the problems they've got in their home patch. We're in pretty good shape on it, but the fact that it hasn't been an issue in the last couple of years doesn't mean that there aren't some risks ahead of us.
But can we expect the pre-election update to show perhaps more pessimistic growth and possibly fiscal forecast than were in the budget?
Well, look, that'll be up to the Treasury. We'll get a taste of what the forecasters think with the Reserve Bank forecast coming out tomorrow. And I think they're likely to show what I think's become evident, that in this calendar year the economy's been stronger than we expected, so it'll be a bit bigger, and that helps the fiscal situation. But looking out 2 or 3 years, because of these events offshore, less demand for our exports, that things won't look quite as strong as they did.